What if the most dangerous threat in your home wasn't a burglar, a wildfire, or even another person, but dust? Not ordinary dust. Dust hiding something microscopic, something deadly, something carried silently by rodents for decades before most people ever heard its name. Hantavirus, a virus so rare that many people dismiss it, yet so dangerous that once severe symptoms begin, survival could become a race against time. And here's the terrifying part. Many victims never realize they were exposed until it's already inside them. A forgotten shed, an old attic, a cabin closed for winter, a pile of mouse droppings swept up without thinking. That's all it can take. Tonight, we're diving deep into one of the world's most mysterious viral threats, how it spreads, how scientists are fighting it, what old-school survival remedies people once believed could help, and most importantly, how you can dramatically reduce your risk before exposure ever happens. Because when it comes to hantavirus, prevention may be the most powerful weapon humanity has. Pause. Imagine opening an old garage that's been sealed for months. You smell damp wood. Dust floats through beams of sunlight. You notice scattered droppings in the corner. Most people grab a broom, but experts say that simple action could potentially aerosolize viral particles into the air. You don't see them. You don't smell them. But if infected rodent urine, saliva, or droppings become airborne, you could inhale them directly into your lungs. That's why hantavirus terrifies infectious disease experts. It hides in ordinary places. And unlike many illnesses, early symptoms can feel deceptively harmless. Fever, fatigue, headaches, muscle aches. It can resemble the flu at first. Then suddenly, the lungs begin filling with fluid. Breathing becomes difficult. Oxygen drops. What if the most dangerous threat in your home wasn't a burglar, a wildfire, or even another person, but dust? Not ordinary dust. Dust hiding something microscopic, something deadly, something carried silently by rodents for decades before most people ever heard its name. Hantavirus, a virus so rare that many people dismiss it, yet so dangerous that once severe symptoms begin, survival could become a race against time. And here's the terrifying part. Many victims never realize they were exposed until it's already inside them. A forgotten shed, an old attic, a cabin closed for winter, a pile of mouse droppings swept up without thinking. That's all it can take. Tonight, we're diving deep into one of the world's most mysterious viral threats, how it spreads, how scientists are fighting it, what old-school survival remedies people once believed could help, and most importantly, how you can dramatically reduce your risk before exposure ever happens. Because when it comes to hantavirus, prevention may be the most powerful weapon humanity has. Pause. Imagine opening an old garage that's been sealed for months. You smell damp wood. Dust floats through beams of sunlight. You notice scattered droppings in the corner. Most people grab a broom, but experts say that simple action could potentially aerosolize viral particles into the air. You don't see them. You don't smell them. But if infected rodent urine, saliva, or droppings become airborne, you could inhale them directly into your lungs. That's why hantavirus terrifies infectious disease experts. It hides in ordinary places. And unlike many illnesses, early symptoms can feel deceptively harmless. Fever, fatigue, headaches, muscle aches. It can resemble the flu at first. Then suddenly, the lungs begin filling with fluid. Breathing becomes difficult. Oxygen drops. The body starts failing. In severe cases, patients may require intensive care and mechanical ventilation. There is currently no universally approved cure specifically designed for hantavirus pulmonary syndrome. Treatment mainly focuses on supportive medical care. But where did this virus come from? And why do rodents carry it without dying from it? Scientists believe hantaviruses have evolved alongside rodents for thousands, possibly millions, of years. Different strains exist across the globe. In North America, deer mice are one of the primary carriers associated with severe respiratory illness. In parts of Asia and Europe, different strains can affect the kidneys more heavily instead of the lungs. Yet despite these differences, the pattern remains the same. Rodents act as a reservoir. humans become accidental victims, and humanity has spent decades trying to figure out how to fight back. Now here's where things get fascinating. Long before advanced antiviral labs, before PCR testing, before modern respiratory support, people turned to folk medicine and survival traditions. And some of those ideas still circulate today. One of the strangest? Duck eggs. In some regions of Asia, duck eggs, particularly preserved or nutrient-rich preparations, were believed to strengthen the body during severe infections and respiratory illness. Now, let's be clear. There is no strong scientific evidence proving duck eggs cure or stop hantavirus. But traditional healers often focus on supporting the body's immune system with high-protein foods, mineral-rich broths, herbs, garlic, mushrooms, fermented foods, and nutrient-dense animal products. Why? Because before modern medicine, people understood one brutal truth. When the body enters survival mode, nutrition matters. Even today, scientists studying immune resilience recognize that severe viral infections can place enormous strain on the body's energy systems, hydration levels, and inflammatory response. So while old remedies may not destroy the virus itself, some may have accidentally supported recovery by helping patients remain nourished and hydrated. But modern experts warn against relying on folk remedies alone. If hantavirus is suspected, immediate medical attention is critical. Because here's the frightening reality. Hantavirus doesn't always give you much time. Some patients deteriorate rapidly after early flu-like symptoms. That's why researchers around the world have been searching for targeted solutions. Antiviral drugs, immune therapies, vaccines, monoclonal antibodies, gene-based technologies. Some experimental treatments have shown promise in laboratory studies. One antiviral drug, ribavirin, has shown benefit in certain hantavirus-related illnesses, especially some forms affecting the kidneys in Asia and Europe, though effectiveness varies depending on the strain and timing. Scientists are also studying how the virus attacks blood vessels and triggers dangerous fluid leakage into the lungs. Because if researchers can interrupt that process, they may dramatically improve survival odds. And then there's the next frontier, mRNA technology. After the explosion of vaccine research in recent years, some scientists believe rapid response vaccine platforms could eventually be adapted to emerging hantavirus threats. Imagine a future where outbreaks are detected early, vaccines are rapidly customized, and exposure no longer carries the same fear. But we're not fully there yet, which means the most effective defense right now is stopping exposure in the first place. So, how do you actually protect yourself? The answer begins with understanding one crucial mistake. Never dry sweep rodent droppings. Never vacuum them dry. That single action can launch contaminated particles into the air. Instead, health agencies recommend ventilating enclosed areas before cleaning, then using disinfectant or diluted bleach solutions to wet contaminated material before removal. Protective gloves and properly fitted masks are also recommended in higher risk environments. Think about that. The safest cleaning method looks almost backward compared to normal cleaning habits. You wet first, disinfect first, then wipe carefully. No sweeping clouds, no airborne dust explosions. And if you've ever cleaned an old shed, barn, crawl space, or cabin, you may realize just how many people unknowingly took risks for years. Now, let's talk survival psychology, because fear spreads faster than viruses. Every time headlines mention hantavirus, panic follows. But experts repeatedly emphasize something important. Hantavirus remains relatively rare. Most people will never encounter it. And even in regions where rodent carriers exist, infection usually requires meaningful exposure to contaminated materials. That means awareness matters more than panic. Knowledge matters more than fear. Simple precautions can dramatically reduce risk. Seal entry holes in homes. Store food securely. Reduce nesting sites. Control rodent populations safely. Avoid handling wild rodents directly. Those actions may sound basic, but they attack the virus at its source. Still, scientists worry about one thing: mutation. Viruses evolve constantly. Most hantaviruses are not known for widespread human-to-human transmission, but certain strains, like Antivirus in South America, have demonstrated limited person-to-person spread. That fact alone has kept epidemiologists watching carefully, because history has shown humanity something terrifying. Sometimes obscure viruses stay obscure, until suddenly they don't, and climate changes, shifting rodent populations, urban expansion, and global travel could all influence future outbreaks. Warmer seasons can increase rodent activity. Food shortages can push rodents closer to humans. Floods and environmental disruption may alter exposure patterns. Nature is constantly changing the battlefield, which means scientists aren't just studying Hantavirus itself. They're studying ecosystems. And that brings us to a strange but important question. Could nature itself also hold hidden solutions? Researchers have investigated countless natural compounds with antiviral potential. Certain mushrooms, plant alkaloids, medicinal herbs, marine compounds, traditional medicines. Some laboratory studies have shown antiviral activity against different viruses under controlled conditions, but there's a massive difference between interest in a lab and proven in humans. That distinction matters, because misinformation spreads dangerously fast online. You may hear claims a miracle herb completely cures viruses, or that one strange food makes people immune, or that some forgotten ancient remedy eliminates infection instantly. But real science demands evidence, controlled studies, reproducible data, clinical testing. Without those things, hope can become dangerous. Still, there is something powerful humanity has learned over centuries of fighting disease. The healthier the body, the better its odds against stress, inflammation, and infection. Good sleep, nutrition, hydration, clean air, reduced exposure, fast medical attention. These aren't flashy. They don't go viral online, but they save lives. And sometimes the simplest strategies are the most important. Now imagine two people entering the same abandoned cabin. One rushes in immediately, starts sweeping droppings, kicks up dust everywhere, breathes deeply in an enclosed space. The second person opens windows first, waits for ventilation, uses gloves, uses disinfectant, wears respiratory protection, avoids aerosolizing debris. Those two choices could create completely different outcomes. That's how invisible the danger can be. And that's why awareness is everything. But there's another side to the story. Human resilience. Every outbreak teaches scientists something new. Every survivor provides clues. Every laboratory breakthrough pushes medicine forward. Decades ago, many deadly viruses were complete mysteries. Now researchers can sequence genomes rapidly, track outbreaks globally, develop targeted therapies faster than ever before. Humanity is not helpless, and perhaps the greatest weapon we possess is our ability to learn, to share knowledge, to recognize danger before it becomes disaster. Because the deadliest threats are often the ones people underestimate. Not giant monsters, not cinematic apocalypses, just tiny particles floating invisibly through the air, waiting for one careless moment. So what should you actually remember from all this? First, Hantavirus is primarily linked to exposure from infected rodents and contaminated materials. Second, there is currently no universally accepted miracle cure. Supportive medical care remains the primary treatment approach for severe illness. Third, traditional remedies, nutrient-rich foods, and natural immune support ideas may be historically interesting, but they should never replace professional medical care. And finally, prevention changes everything. Ventilate enclosed spaces. Disinfect before cleaning. Avoid stirring up rodent waste. Seal homes against infestations. Take symptoms seriously after exposure. Those steps may sound ordinary, but ordinary actions stop extraordinary dangers. The next time you walk into an old garage, an abandoned cabin, a dusty attic, or a forgotten shed, you may look at that drifting dust differently, because hidden inside the smallest particles could be one of nature's most dangerous reminders. Humanity still shares this world with ancient invisible enemies, and survival often belongs, not to the strongest, but to the most prepared. If you found this video fascinating, disturbing, or eye-opening, Make sure to subscribe, because the world is filled with mysteries most people never notice until it's too late.